Hi, Mick McQuaid here to review the syllabus for iste610 Knowledge Representation Technologies for Spring 2016. And this is the syllabus. This is a draft of the syllabus anyway. The actual syllabus is the copy on my courses. The copy on my courses takes precedence over any copy that you may have downloaded and have. And it may change there, or it may not change. Here are some details about the course. There is a prerequisite of a database course, 608 for example, relational database course, a year of experience in at least one object-oriented programming language such as Java, and at least one web course. Here are the times, my name, my official email address, although I tend to use mickmcquaid@gmail.com for the most part. This address automatically forwards to that. And if you want to share any Google Drive documents with me, you share them with mickmcquaid@gmail.com. My office hours, 11 to 1, or whenever you can make an appointment. My office is directly across the hall from the open lab, so it's pretty easy to figure out whether I'm in or not. Here's the course catalog description of the course, and I've been told verbally, I don't have any official confirmation of this, but I've been told verbally that this will be rewritten because there isn't really a connection between this and the following course, 612. It may be a two-course sequence, but there's nothing you can take one course in front of the other. And then some of the things, for example, data warehousing that are mentioned here are specific to 612, not to this course. The materials that you'll need for this course include a USB drive, and this is because we're going to be using a virtual machine image that's too large to quickly download each class period. So you're going to have some way to store it, come into the lab, plug it into the lab machine. Now, instead of that, you could just bring your laptop. Last semester, about half the students brought their own laptops to class and used that. You can use the lab machine or a laptop, but you are going to need storage. What happens with the lab machines is that they are wiped after every use. And this virtual machine image currently is about 13 gigabytes, so it's impractical to have it and to leave it on the it's impossible to leave it on the lab machine, but it's impractical to download it during class. It would take you a substantial fraction of the class period just to download it, and then using it would be an issue. And you're going to be changing it from class to class, so you can't just download a fresh one. You want the same one from one class period to the next. Here are the textbooks. By the way, here's a table of contents. Most PDF viewing software will have some option for you to view a table of contents, and the textbooks which are referenced here are in the bibliography at the end. There's C.J. Date, Brad Daly, Joe Fawcett, David Flanagan. The MongoDB doesn't give an author for the MongoDB documentation. They don't say who it is. It's just MongoDB Incorporated. And Basirat Ali Syed. And these books refer to different things. So the course is divided into basically three parts. There's an RDBMS part at the beginning of the course, then an XML part in the middle of the course, and a MongoDB part at the end of the course. And in each of these cases, I'm going to expect you to use JavaScript and explicitly Node.js, which is a JavaScript for a server-side JavaScript variant. And so you're going to need to refer to these books, but you don't need to buy any of these books. These books are all available at Wallace Library, and most of them actually are available online via Wallace Library or online via some other source. So it's not strictly necessary to purchase any texts for the course, although some students prefer to purchase or print some of the readings. But that's a matter of your preference, I want to point out. Now, I also suggest, in addition to using the readings on my courses, I suggest that you use Wikipedia, and many people will tell you not to use Wikipedia, so I'm going to tell you should not only use Wikipedia, you should use Google, you should use online resources, and you should acquire skill in using online resources. Now, I have collected a few URLs here that give the contrary opinion. For example, Wikipedia's volunteers are no match for PR agencies. This is based on a longer article. Here, the covert world of people trying to edit Wikipedia for pay. So this is an expose of I think it's a medical technology firm that edited Wikipedia pages about the kind of technology that they're selling and for which Medicare bills $1 billion a year. It's not very useful medical technology, despite the fact that we're paying $1 billion, taxpayers are paying $1 billion a year for it. It's not very useful, but they're editing Wikipedia to make it appear that it is, and so some physician caught them doing this, and it eventually became a piece of investigative journalism. It's well known that members of Congress frequently edit Wikipedia to make themselves look better and make I shouldn't say they're members of Congress, their staff members have been accused of their IP addresses have been found editing Wikipedia and saying things to make Wikipedia seem less credible, as well as saying things to make themselves seem better. So you have to acquire skill to use Wikipedia to understand, how to take what you get on Wikipedia. What you get on Wikipedia and other online sources is useful, but it isn't necessarily true. You have to be able to acquire skill to be able to assess whether Donald Rumsfeld is an alien lizard or whether Cuba faked the moon landings or whatever else it is that you read in Wikipedia. You're responsible for acquiring this kind of skill. And it's not just Wikipedia and Google. Of course, Stack Overflow is one of the most important sources for online information. And I often find students will actually find a relevant Stack Overflow article, and they'll just cut and paste some code into their, here's some nice code, let me just cut and paste that into my homework assignment. But they accidentally cut and pasted Jazz Cole's name and creation date into it. So you have to educate yourself. You can't just blindly use these kinds of resources. Another resource you should be using is Hacker News. I'm sometimes surprised that students don't read Hacker News on a regular basis. This is a very important source of information from you, and it's sponsored by Y Combinator, one of the most important venture capital funds for information technology startups. Okay, so enough about responsible use of online resources. Let me go back to the syllabus here. So you should acquire skills. Okay, let's move on from there. The schedule. So we have a course schedule. And as I mentioned, it's in basically 3 parts. And the 3 parts are relational database management, XML, and MongoDB. And the 3 forms of knowledge representation are the form of relations, the form of XML, and the form of JSON, which is typically used for document-oriented databases like MongoDB. I have a schedule of readings here, what I expect you to have read, and some of them say just as needed because you have varying levels of expertise. Some of them are very specific because I found that few students are prepared with some of this material. So where I say as needed, these are the places where I've found students often having enough skill not to worry about it. Okay, and so you can see all the topics here. These are section names, actually, in rather than chapter numbers. I think the MongoDB manual has section names. I'm losing my voice here. Okay, grading. Here's the typical grading scale, and here's the grading schedule. So homework 1 is going to be due on week 2. So in week 1, so these are week numbers. So week 1 of the semester, nothing is due. Week 2, homework 1 is due. Week 3, homework 2 is due. So on until we get week 16. And actually, I think this is incorrect. So is the semester 16 weeks or the semester is 15 weeks? And then we have the 16th week is the final exam. Oh, the final exam is the 16th week. Okay. Alrighty then. And this grade, if you total up all these percentages, you'll find that the grade is 50% homework, 50% exams, and that some of the exams will be multiple choice, and one exam will include both multiple choice and short answer. You have some policies here. These are supposed to be boilerplate. They should be in every single syllabus, but you have to take them seriously. Just because they're in every single syllabus and we may gloss over them doesn't mean that you can't take them seriously. All of this stuff is true. Everything is supposed to be done via my courses. Grade challenges can only happen when they can happen. No late work, no extra credit is available. If you have a notice of accommodations, I'm not the only one who needs to know about it. It's not just your instructor who needs to know about it. Let me know about it, plus I'll be talking with other people about it depending on the accommodation. Academic dishonesty. I caught a student cheating who was ejected from GCCIS. He's no longer a member of the college. And one of the foolish things that he did when I caught him cheating was said, well, I didn't think they were going to, you didn't really go over this in class. I didn't think you were going to take this seriously. I mean, you didn't even mention it. And so here I'm mentioning it. But even if I didn't mention it, all of this stuff is important. You must know these policies here, and you must abide by these policies. Otherwise there will be consequences. All of these you're expecting, and saying that you didn't know about it or that the teacher didn't emphasize it enough, that's just not going to wash. Okay, and here again, as we went over before, the references. Now let me amuse you a little bit, or at least attempt to amuse you with one last thing. Well, actually two last things. Okay, so the first one is I want to tell you that you have a choice. There's a spectrum on which you can envision your work. And that spectrum runs from the most structured to the most unstructured. So you're graduate students, and that's why I'm mentioning this. You're advanced, and so you should be able to function in an unstructured environment. I shouldn't have to give you very explicit instructions to follow. I sometimes have students, even grad students, who say they want explicit instructions. They don't want vague instructions. But in fact, being advanced like this is all about being able to make something out of very vague, high-level instructions, and you create something concrete out of very vague requirements. So let's take a look at the spectrum. On one end of the spectrum, here's where I want to amuse you. On one end of the spectrum is the most structured, and over here you can see the words check-in, hopefully at the top of the screen. This is a hospital scene in a movie, and the man in the center of the screen here is going to the check-in window over here to check into the hospital, and the person that he's going to check in with doesn't have very much latitude in her job. Her job is highly structured, and she's not too excited about it. And here's what her choice is. She can push one of these buttons. So she picks confused. Okay, so that's really not a lot of so that's not a lot of latitude. That's a highly structured job, and of course, as you can guess, it's very, very, very low pay. If you have come back to school because you would like to do more in your career, you're not going to be at the opposite end of the extreme. Okay, so having amused you, hopefully, at one end of the extreme, let me scare you at the other end of the extreme. Here's another scene from a movie. This is an astronaut, or at least a famous Hollywood star playing an astronaut who has a very unstructured job, the most unstructured job you could imagine. And it's incredibly scary. In this job, of course, she's in space and things are going wrong. She's trying to get into a space station. And even if she is able to get into the space station, she's trying to get into the escape pod, and the escape pod's parachute has been prematurely deployed and is stuck to the space station, and oops, there goes the space station. So nothing is really going that well, and even when she gets inside, all the instructions are going to be in a language that she doesn't speak. And no human has ever faced this situation that she's in before. Everything is going to be new. And this is just a tiny sample. This is from the middle of the movie. This is a tiny sample of the disasters that this astronaut faces in the course of this incredibly unstructured job. Now, obviously, I don't want you to risk dying in a vacuum in the middle of outer space. Don't take it that way. But I want you to be toward the side of the spectrum of unstructured work. I don't want you to ask me for more detailed instructions. I want you to use your imagination. I want any little tidbit of instruction that I give you, I want you to platform off of that and think about what might make sense to do. Okay? That's a really big thing. That's an important part of being a grad student. And let me just leave you with that thought. Thanks.